Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Joni Young if you're new here. I'm going to be showing you step by step how to paint this pretty landscape today with green, blue, and white. I'm going to start creating a soft background first with white and then coming in with my phthalo blue using a 3-inch round chalk brush, and then I'm going to come in with phthalo and green to create some trees and foliage in the background, working my way towards the center. So without washing my brush off, I'm just going to tap right into that green. So I've still got a little bit of white and blue, and now I'm picking up a little bit more of the phthalo. I'm going to just tap really lightly the top left corner, tapping my way down the edge of the canvas and over on the other side. I'm going to add a little bit using just the side of the brush and then tapping and pulling and sweeping. I'm now going to take a long liner brush, and you can use any liner brush of your choice, and I'm just going to start pulling very lightly into the blue and the green, mainly picking up blue off of my palette. It's mixing in with the green as I pull it and blend it out, just creating thin little branches and tree trunks, very wispy looking, wiggling and rolling and twisting my brush around. Then I'm coming in with a small mop brush, this is a dry one, and I'm just going to tap very lightly just to get more of a soft blended look for the background bushes and trees. So you can see I'm just tapping into that paint that I've got there and bringing it more towards the center of the canvas and the painting where we're going to have that moon a little bit later on. Then I'm going to soften, pull, and blend along the bottom, making it look slightly blurry. I'm going to pick up a little bit of white with my sap green, more white than green, and I'm going to tap softly for the treetops. Now I love using these mop brushes. Any mop brush will do. These are actually makeup brushes that I just purchased online. I got them specifically for the pretty handles, never expecting them to be such wonderful paint brushes. I'll try to have a link below for you guys. I know that they're still available on Amazon, and I've been using them for many months now, and they're really holding up nicely. Now back to my liner brush, I'm going to come in with some more branches and main tree trunk here in the foreground using phthalo blue only. It's going to naturally pick up the other colors and the wet paint underneath, and that's fine. I like to get a few different tones and hues in there. So when I want my branches and my tree trunks to be thicker, I'm going to push gently to flatten that brush out slightly to make it look fuller and thicker. When I want skinny branches, I will let off and use the tip of the brush only. Now if you have trouble pulling and getting nice seamless branches and wiggly lines, and you feel like you need to go back for more paint, oftentimes it's more water that you need, or equal parts of water and paint. Now let's start adding a fence. We'll pull lines straight up and down, a little bit longer in the foreground, closer to us, giving us that feeling that we're standing right there. And then they're going to get closer together, lighter and a lot shorter as they go off into the distance. That will give us that perspective. And I'm just going to gently pull a few little lines in between, connecting all those little fence posts together. I'll come in with a highlight later on with white and yellow, and we'll add a highlight just on one side of each post. I just got a mini little flat brush now just for softly blending and creating a few little shadows maybe in between, just softening the base of some of these fence posts. And I'm going to start developing some shadows and highlights more, building up this path here in the center of the painting. I'm going to softly blend out the base of the tree, pulling out some tree roots, and then go back to a clean, dry mop brush, blending out the area that I want to have my bright white moon. So it's just a soft white right now. I'm going to wait for that to dry and I'll come back to it with bright white later on. I've got a small 1/2 inch flat brush right now that I'm going to start sliding back and forth with a slight little scoop. That just adds a little bit more mood and character to the painting, I feel. And then I'm adding a little bit of white and green for that soft light, the moonlight hitting the path. So here you see him coming in with white with another liner brush. This is a little bit thicker. And just adding a nice highlight to each one of these fence posts. And you can use, again, any size liner brush that you want. These are just personal preferences of mine. You can use a lot of different brushes to create this same painting. And I'm going to add white for some tree trunks and some branches here that are sort of closer to the moon. And they're going to be lighter in color as they get further away. It's picking up, so I'm adding white, but it's picking up a little bit of the green that's on there, and I want that to happen. I like a little bit of a tint to my white. I think it looks really pretty, this really light green that we have. And then of course I'm going to add a little highlight right here to this big tree right here in the foreground. It's not going to be as bright as those ones closer to the moon though. So I'll add a few little branches. And maybe a few more trees further away as well. Sort of feels like we're creating a little tree tunnel. And I'm going to slide my brush back and forth again, creating little lines for more highlights on the path. Again, just with a white and a little bit of green, or just white only. Back to a mini mop brush, a little round mop brush with blue, white, and green this time. I'm going to create soft little taps along the trees here, just for little mini ones, mini sections of the tree tops. And then I'll add a few down here, the base of the fence posts, and in between some of the trees. So just small ones now, and then I'm going to switch over to this larger mop brush, and it's dry. And just look how beautifully it's applied with this brush. It creates the nicest tree tops. It's very similar to my big, large, what I like to call magic mystery brush. I can't find that brush right now. I would have used that one, but this one's working so well. And again, I'm taking a little bit of sap green with more white and just coming in with some softer looking moonlit bushes now at the base here, and then around on the top I'm going to come in and add more shadow and contrast with phthalo and sap green only. It's time to add more white to the center, really making this pop out. And I was using my small flat for that, and now I'm using my liner brush with white to reapply the highlights on the fence posts. And now I'm taking phthalo blue with my liner brush and doing the other side, the shadow side of the fence posts, and just a little bit of a suggestion on the boards connecting those fence posts through the center. I'm going to have some more branches coming in front of some of these leaves on the trees. So just phthalo. You can use phthalo and sap green if you want, doesn't matter as long as it's nice and dark and it really shows up. Wanted to create a little foliage down here at the base and then kind of blend it out a little bit for what will end up being a little cabin or cottage there. I'm using a Filbert brush, medium size, and I'm actually not really adding paint at this point. I'm just kind of sliding my brush very lightly, pulling, dragging, and flicking the paint that's already on there to create the feeling of some moss hanging. So just lightly pulling and flicking, and then I'm coming in with a bit of phthalo and sap, tapping and lightly dragging. And on these ones I'm just pulling without the phthalo or the sap, those ones in the center. And I'm going to keep building these up, gradually adding and alternately adding sap with blue and then a little bit of yellow. I'm going to blend out the bottom here at the base of the tree and in the foreground, kind of creating a frame, sort of just to help draw our eyes into the center of the painting, our focal point, which is that pretty pathway leading off into the moonlight. Just taking a little bit of white, I'm going to continuously create a ring around the moon, pulling without letting my brush off the canvas to get it nice and smooth, and then come in with more white, first with a paintbrush, and then I'm going to come in with my finger just to get it even smoother because I don't want to see little streaks left from the brush. So I'll just use my finger a little bit later on and just dab that in there. And a few more highlights here, maybe some more trees, maybe some more moss and vines hanging from those trees. It's all about just creating a relaxing mood in a painting, and it's finding that right balance of light and shadow and different tones. And I brought this one down quite low and just wanted to make it feel like it was coming down a little bit more to the foreground, but it was distracting from the path, so I gently took it off, just tapped it away and wiped the excess off on a towel. Now I'm taking a mini fan brush and I've got some yellow with some white, maybe a little bit of green in there that's off to the side, and just lightly tapping to get a crisper, brighter highlight on these treetops, which I think is really, really pretty. I was excited at this point when I started adding this bright highlight. It felt like it just really came to life, and especially when I add it down at the base of the fence posts. I think it's really nice to change up your brushes in a painting so you get different types of foliage. You can do a painting with just one brush for your foliage. It's completely fine. But if you can, try to change it up and alternate paintbrushes, and you'll get a really interesting look to your landscapes and layered look, so you get so many different types of bushes and trees just by changing up your brushes. And a fan brush is a really must-have brush in your collection of brushes. Filbert is another one, mop, filbert, and fan, and you can do so much. So just continuing with this yellow and white and my fan brush, I created a lot of different types of foliage on the trees, a few extra trees, and some more moss dangling from the top of the canvas. I'm coming in with my white and my yellow now and my liner brush, adding another layer of tree trunk, a few tree trunks and branches, just very lightly with the tip of my brush. Now I'm taking neon yellow and phthalo blue only. I'm going to add a rich shadow down here in the bottom, down here at the base of where our little cabin or cottage is going to be, and then I'm going to add it just dripping from the trees, and I'll build up from there first with this really intense phthalo and neon yellow, and then I'll switch to just neon yellow, and it's going to look so pretty. Like a rich emerald green forest. Okay, so after adding all that beautiful yellow and green around the painting, looks like little lights are hanging almost, or little flowers or blossoms, we're going to start this little cabin. And it's just a very simple beginner, any level can paint this. Just start with a rectangle and then add 2 slants for the rooftop and then a little triangle for the front, for the top of the cabin. Just using the phthalo blue, and I've got a little flat brush so I get nice straight ends. And then I'm going to come in with my contrast and my highlights with yellow and white. So we'll add a little highlight to the roof line, little lines maybe if it's a log cabin or cottage, and then we'll add little windows just with dabs and dots. Not much to it. It's very, very simple and easy to follow along. Anybody can do this, and it creates such coziness and atmosphere to this painting. We'll even add a little chimney just with the phthalo blue, and then using a little bit of white, we'll have a little puff of smoke coming out of the top. I'll then add a little staircase, of course. I always love my staircases, going down towards the path. Okay, so after defining some more of the tree trunks, branches, and highlights and shadows, I decided I wanted to have a little whimsical family of mushrooms down here. Very, very simple. Again, anybody can do this. Just little half circles on the top for the top of the mushrooms, and then little lines using white and neon yellow. You can use a liner brush for this or a round brush, any brush that you feel comfortable with, and make them all different sizes. So you want to have those little tiny baby mushrooms. You'll just do almost a little dot and a skinny little line. And you can have them going in different directions too, so they're not all going in the same straight up and down. You can have some sort of leaning off to the side. And then here I just wanted to make it look like maybe there's some more going on in the foreground, like a little fern or some leaves, a different type of a plant. But then I thought it kind of covered up the tree trunk a little bit too much and took away from those mushrooms, so I'm going to gently go over that in a few minutes. So as I soften the last little poof of smoke coming out of this cozy cottage, I want to thank you guys so much for joining me for this painting today. I hope you got inspired and you want to paint along. See you next time. Bye everybody.